everybody, welcome to the Belt Bounce.
Hey!
We're going to talk about supercars because
It's about time, mate. What's been happening in Supercar land? Because it's been quiet, Damo.
it has. But I did notice it's starting to ramp up a little bit because I think everybody's taking notice of the fact that, guess what? There's nothing freaking happening. So we need some information there. They dropped the drivers podcast. They dropped some news. It all started to kick off. And we've still got a couple of weeks before the next round anyway.
We do. What will they come up with next?
Oh, right, well, let's find out, shall we? I guess you said, hey, we should really do a Supercars pod. I'm like, yes, we should. There has been a little bit of news, but it's really all about the supercar drivers are taking over Nascar, man. They're all happening.
Yes, they are. And I'm here for it.
Even the old ones like Jack Perkins. I mean, that was what a surprise. How good was that?
I knew about this before most, I think. And I saw him at the bend when I was racing, driving a NASCAR. And I was told then and there that the deal had actually been done. And that he was going to be racing, but obviously I until it becomes formal, I say nothing. Congratulations, Jacko. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how you go in Portland in the Xfinity series.
Yes, and it's great that he's kind of ticks the box for him. He's wanted to do it for a while, and given his experience, I'm sure he will give it a good red hot crack. But then also Will Brown suddenly got announced as well.
Yeah, it wasn't left field. We sort of knew people were working on it in the background, but what was slightly left field is I didn't actually predict it to be Michigan, which is obviously where SVG famously won when he went over there. So he'll be running with Cool Egg Racing, which is the team that Shane ran with last year in the Xfinity. So, but obviously in the Cup Series, will young Browno be going? So he'll have to take on SVG and try and beat him at his own game.
Ooh, won't that be fun to watch? I'm excited that it's a street race because I sort of feel like sticking to like Michigan, Sonoma, like those sort of places gives them the best shot at it. So I'm glad that these are the places they're able to run, and it's just it's great for the NASCAR teams to be able to afford through sponsors and things to be able to give the opportunity to some drivers. So it's good. It's
amazing. And look, there's talk about Waters trying to set something up as well. So I think it's great, and I hope it starts to come back the other way. It's probably harder for them to get to grips with our cars, but I mean, we've got Larson coming for Adelaide, I believe. So that'll be cool to see. So I just want to see this cross contaminating. I think we spoke last time about Supercars needs to sort of start working with different places and cross contaminating to get become household names again, because we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, definitely not what it was. And it gives the opportunity at least then for them to come to us and look, it does look like ours are a little harder to drive and to get used to. And so going there seems to be more beneficial than then coming, but it'll be great to have them here because I think returning the favor, giving a wildcard entry or an opportunity for someone, I mean, that should be something that Supercars has. They get a car organized. Like that is, as you say, it is great branding. It is great cross-pollination for everyone to sort of feel like, they're a big name. We've got Larson coming here and Will Brown and Jack Perkins are over there. And it's exciting. It's exciting.
Awesome. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's kind of the big news, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening and some sad news.
There are some sad news.
The king is crying.
The king is crying.
The king of Pukekohe, Murphy.
Oh, Murph. I didn't even think about that. It's weird, right? Where my mind goes, Damo, and this is proving how old we are and probably how much nobody knows about these things. But we used to watch a thing called High Octane. which was a DVD series that was early 2000s, and they used to go drifting at Pook in those DVDs and series. That was,
Kitzel Sterling.
Kitzel Sterling. So that's how old we are. But yes, no, unfortunately, Pook is being dismantled. They're taking things away, and I think the realization is starting to creep into everybody that it's no longer going to be a racetrack.
Yeah, it's sad, and it comes off the news, obviously, of the double round in New Zealand. Yes. And then hearing then subsequently that Pukekohe's being dismantled, it's probably not going to happen there ever again. It is a little sad, but they still have plenty of great racetracks. So fingers crossed that that new double header will be fruitful for everybody, for us, yes, for the Kiwis. They can get out and support it, and we'll see how that tracks. So
yeah, what's it called? What's the second track called in New Zealand, Damo?
Ruapuna, or is the one they go to? Is that the one?
That's right.
Say it?
Just outside of Christchurch. Yep. Yeah. I think that's correct. I got absolutely destroyed when I tried to pronounce it to my wife, who was Kiwi. She was like, what? I'm like,
someone was trying to talk about it. It might have been full credit to the noise or whatever, but it was just like Ruapuna, and I'm like, no, mate, you got to Ruapuna. You got to change the way the vowels are said to make it a Kiwi one. So,
but yeah, down near Christchurch, it's not the Highlands. I would have loved to have seen the Highlands, and maybe we will go there one day. But I still think it'll be pretty cool. Apparently, it's got to get some upgrades, but that's good. Anything that gets an upgrade is good for anywhere like that.
Yeah, for the locals and for the regular people that use it, but then also that it's going to be afforded a V8 Supercar round is amazing. Amazing. Okay, mate. All right. So let's touch on some stuff that there was a name being thrown around. Those dirty Chev boys. And when I read it, I felt like Will Smith. The Will Smith, get your name out of your mouth.
We really needed a clip.
Yeah, we did. Chaz Mostert. They've been trying to snag the old Chev drive. Come on, mate. He's just got Toyota. He's not going anywhere.
Absolutely not. He squashed it on the what do they call it? The drivers. What's that one?
The drivers podcast.
Yeah, that one. They really anyway.
Let's cracking it already.
It's a bit regimented. I mean, not that we're not regimented, I guess, but yeah, this feels like they're just fed questions rather than having an actual discussion.
It is a bit curated, but that last one was much better.
Yeah.
I would, if you haven't listened to it, that's a good
Go
one.
And listen.
Yeah. They were a little bit more, not free, but they were just a bit more casual about it.
Yeah. Which is the way it should be.
Will Brown, Chaz Mostert, and James Courtney were the three drivers on that one.
Yeah, James was in good form.
He's giving a little less fucks at that, right?
I love it. It's so good. Great to see. So Chaz's name in Chev's mouth because they couldn't get Waters, apparently. So Waters has said, I'm staying with Tickford. And then they went, and then they chased Chaz. And look, mate, good luck to you. You're talking about being the homologation team. I can't even say it. For Toyota, who is no doubt going to get a helping hand,
right,
to make sure they're competitive.
Why were you pausing there? You're talking about them getting some actual support rather than what they get to like listen and stuff. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I feel like they'll be more like the Volvo, when they come in. But we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think if you look at it on paper, Toyota have made the big investment. Supercars will want to keep them there, so therefore they need to be competitive. So I don't see them, coming in undercooked. So I think, Chev's barking up the wrong tree, but I will say this. I think it shows that Chev know they don't have the drivers or the teams anymore.
That was when you put this in the document. That was one of the things that crossed my mind, is that they're doing a lot of chasing of everybody else. So how much confidence have they got in their current pool of teams and drivers that they're still fishing around for people like Waters, etc. Now, to be honest, it's reasonable for them to be looking at anyone that might be out of contract. It's not that we'll make a big jest of it, but in reality, anyone's the possibility of conversations, and there's always conversations happening. But it does feel like there's a lot of stuff happening on the other side of the camp where they're chasing. Yeah, they've been chasing some teams, and I'm still, there's a possibility that one of these teams could switch as well.
Yeah.
There was some early rumors that might happen, but it's gone a little quiet, but you just never know. So, yeah.
Just keep listening, because you never know.
You never know.
Nothing's solid.
Yeah. And I guess so, just quickly, just to wrap up that drivers podcast stuff too, is that lots of good things that came out. And it was interesting just to hear Chaz ask, we need more horsepower. And then when we initially talked about it, like, they had 600 horsepower back in the 90s, and
when they started
2025, and they're still pushing, like, I think they say now like 670 or something is the number. But man, it'd be so much better if they were pushing like 800-900, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you said off camera 1200, right?
Yeah.
no jokes.
Need the turbos, bro.
No. We were having a discussion before we even started this pod about the fact that really now technology has come so far since they started. 600 horsepower in 1993 when this kicked off. That was a lot of horsepower for the technology that was available, and the brakes and everything else. Well, now it's kind of like your hot hatch can have 600 horsepower on the street. So it would seem like reasonable to go to an 800, 850 sort of bracket.
I've just had the thought. I know why they don't.
Why?
I'm going to fire some shots here.
Ooh.
You got that freaking dinosaur pushrod of an engine that probably can't make much more. And if we just release the Ford engine, right, that'd be there, no worries. The new Toyota engine, 800, no dramas, mate. Yeah.
Are you saying that the Chevrolet are just not up to 2025 standards?
Well, certainly, and we will use this as a segue into the next topic. It does feel like that the Ford engine has been throttled to kind of keep it in line. But then
100%. That's why it's unhappy and not working.
But there's been a little bit of an uncover during one of the shakedowns, mate. Suddenly, we know some numbers around horsepower differences at temperatures.
Yeah, so I mean, this goes back to Tasmania, I believe, but and this could be, this is still rumor mill, people, so don't quote it and say this is fact. It might not be. I'll send it though. So apparently, when temperatures in the inlets get above 25 degrees, the Chev produces 15 horsepower more than the Ford. So that's an interesting thing. I don't know why that would be. I'm not that mechanically minded to work it out. I probably should do some deep diving and try and find out how these cars work properly. But yeah, so basically, because they're throttling the Ford so fucking hard, it's causing problems. And when it gets over like too much heat, it then starts losing power as well. So, the Chev gains it. I don't know. You just suggest that it loses power.
I would suggest, that there's probably a loss. When I read it and I was sort of thinking about it, I'm thinking two things. Was one, that 25 degrees for an inlet, doesn't feel like it's a very high temperature based on the temperatures they run inside the engine. Now, I know they've got all the ducted and it's made of materials that don't get as hot as regular engines, but 25 feels like it's not a very high number to hit.
No.
And it does sort of feel like that there would be a loss because of where they are and how they're approaching the power and the bandwidth in the range, and that's why the temperatures are impacting so much.
Yep.
Oh, pardon me. It just feels like I mean, Brody called it. He was, he's been on it and championing it, and it's, although not really official, good to hear at least some information that's getting out, because at least it shows they're still working on it, for one, but two, they might have some proper intel as to what the difference is, and then perhaps how they can fix it.
Yeah, well, I mean, while they're there, they can just add the extra horsepower and tell Chev to move on. But
yep,
let's go. No, let's go. But no, like Davo had double duty, so he obviously shook down his new car, which is the Erebus spec car, they call it.
So the question is it an Erebus chassis, or is it the person that is employed, the Erebus had employed previously to do the chassis? The way they talk about it, it's like it's coming out of the Erebus shop, and yes, he's closely tied to Erebus. I understand that, but I think they are a bit disingenuous in the way they present that.
Oh, 100%. So I can't remember the guy's name, so I'm so sorry about that. I think his last name's White, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I could be wrong. Sorry, don't quote me. But they're down in was it Mount Gambier, I think?
Yes, correct.
And so they do the chassis for Erebus, and now they do it for DJR as well. They did the TIG welding, which is why Supercars ruled it out now, and it had to change up. But it does mean that Brody and Will have the same car and same philosophy in how it's been put together. So that should mean that setup and the like should be closer than what it once was. I mean, there won't be drastic differences. Will said, don't read too much into this, but the car felt good. Yes. So that's a bonus. So we'll see how that sort of transpires. But yes, he had double duty because Supercars were on hand and they were testing different things on the engine. We don't know what, because they actually wouldn't say.
Tell us, you sons of bitches. Tell us. Just tell us.
Tell us. Are you sneaking a turbo in there? No.
All they need to do is, they don't have to give us all the details. I understand they don't want to release certain things, but tell us you've done it. Tell us it was a productive day, or give us something that actually acknowledges that it happened, and that it's just like, if we don't say it, it never happened.
Yeah. I saw a photo of Tim Edwards on the ground, so I know it happened.
Yes, we know it happened. James White is the gentleman.
That's it. See, I got rid of that.
According to AI, he is employed by Erebus, so maybe I was wrong on that one, but I thought he was an independent builder that Erebus.
I'm pretty sure it's independent.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just following AI. It was a quick search. I just put Erebus chassis builder. That's it.
Okay. Nice.
So that was good to hear, even if it wasn't official, that at least they've gone there, and they've had their work cut out for them, because let's touch on the skid blocks saga. Off the back of some pretty interesting IndyCar Penske stuff. That seems like still that fairy dust maybe be sprinkling on DJR. We briefly touched it, I think, after the
round.
Don't
drag them both into there. Come on.
Well, I believe I said that I think it was a valid penalty, and it just seemed like it was pretty deliberate. They've just basically called it and said there's a minimum thickness. It's going to be implemented. There's no shaving. They've really got tight on the rules.
Yeah, they've just closed down that loophole. So you weren't allowed to shave, as we found out anyway. But so no shaving, and they'll drill up into the plank, and there'll be a minimum depth that has to be there, so the cars aren't run too low to gain an advantage, because clearly some way or another it's gaining some sort of advantage running the car lower. So so we'll see how that transpires and how that affects the two cars going forward. But yeah, I mean, if we touch on it's not a Penske thing. It's just this is more an Erebus thing. Even Will Brown said that it was an Erebus thing. So I don't think he was joking. By the way, people don't go in on him.
I don't think he was.
Oh, you reckon you're serious? Maybe, but it's definitely you have to say that it's a trial of something that helped somewhere. But I don't know what the actual advantage is, but I mean, it didn't matter anyway, did it? Didn't do shit.
Didn't seem to make much of a difference, but yeah, it was certainly, I think, they thought, let's just give it a bit of a test. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So I thought what we might do, based on the fact that the schedule has been released for Adelaide, and it looks like a pretty, well, when you say standard weekend, like it's not standard, I guess, because it used to be a different kind of race, but pretty normal weekend for racing, but it kind of gives us the opportunity to give a bit of a refresher of the 2025 Supercars Championship and what that actually looks like. Because
are you saying we're bringing value to the people and telling them and reminding them how this final series works?
I never said that.
Okay. I was just checking.
No. Well, we raised it the last time where we were talking about that no one, and this is not just us, this is others in the space, Apex Hunters, that no one was talking about the qualification of the 10 drivers. And so, as we get deeper into this racing, let's recap it a little bit.
Yep.
And I will do a little share because this will be a good opportunity.
Look at that.
To sort of have a look at where things are. But I guess really what we're going to have a look at is who is going to be vying for that back end of the 10 as we come up the Sprint Cup. But just remind me, where's the Sprint Cup finish and start and all of the rest of it, Steve?
Well, we're halfway through the Sprint Cup. So
yes,
as of right now, at the end of Tasmania, we're at the halfway point. So we have 4 more rounds to go before we get to the end of the Sprint Cup. Oh, pardon.
So, nice.
So
that's Perth, Darwin,
Townsville, and Ipswich. That's it. So at Ipswich, we cut off the Sprint Cup. The winner of the Sprint Cup, actually, Damo, you might need to fill me in. Does the winner of the Sprint Cup get anything other than a trophy?
They gain automatic entry into the finals.
So they get automatic entry into the finals for the finals round. And then we move from Sprint Cup into Endurance Cup. So the Enduro Cup. Yes. So this is just the Bend 500 and the Bathurst 1000. And the winner of those two, I believe, gets automatic entry as well.
Yeah, the winner of the Enduro Cup gains automatic entry into the finals as well.
So that's 2 spots taken immediately. Oof. Right? And then we go into finals.
Right.
So you have 2 people guaranteed in there, and then it'll be based on points and so forth from there, as far as I understand, because doesn't it? I don't know how this thing works. It's pretty mind-boggling. But you can go from here, Damo, because I'm less across this part of it.
Right. Okay. So it's as you say, if it's as you see here, obviously Brock's at the top end of that. If it's a Brock Feeney that gets qualification, he would be in anyway. I guess where there could be some something out of the box or something that would if you're in P10, there's a bit of jeopardy because if someone let me scroll down a little bit. If someone outside of the 10, like an Anton, a Nick Percat, Will Davo, if they win either the Sprint Cup, or they're not going to win the Sprint Cup, but the Enduro Cup, they automatically get a place in. So then if you're P10,
even
you've
if
automatically lost. Hey?
Even if they were 13.
Wow. Now, this is what we've read. This is what I've read, and this is what I believe. So that would automatically give them entry. So that would then mean you've only got 9 spots because someone outside the 10 has hit. So the finals are the Gold Coast, Sandown, and Adelaide. So they're the three events.
Yes.
10 drivers qualify for the finals after Bathurst. Obviously, as we said, the winners of the Sprint Cup and the Enduro Cup gain automatic entry. And each round is worth 300 points. Okay, so that's the same as last year.
Yep.
Obviously, we know there is the fastest lap bonus that's been on offer for the Sprint Cup races, and so that's helping accumulate points. But then that takes us to the final system, where 10 drivers go into that last round, round 11, and then after that one, the bottom three are eliminated. Okay, and so that gives us 7 drivers going into Sandown, and then we cull another 3 that will go, and that leaves us with 4 drivers for the last round in Adelaide that can win. So the top point scorer will win the title. The other curveball that we have to take into account is a win at Gold Coast or Sandown gets the driver into the next round. So again, the way it's written and shown is
because it resets the series, the championship points, doesn't it? If you're in the top 10,
correct. And so if you're
does it have to be a top 10 driver?
Well, there's nothing I can find that says that. Then that's from their articles. It's I guess it's for us.
I'm sure it has to be, because they wouldn't bring in a secondary. Surely that'd be
I don't know,
a nightmare to adjudicate.
Why would you have a wild card of if you win these events, you get into the next round, regardless? I mean, it would seem like they
finals, that should be just the top 10.
Yeah, you would hope that was the way it is, but it's not the way it reads. It basically says you get that automatic entry in to the next round. And so therefore, it's a...
Can you imagine? I hope they've written the rules right, because could you imagine if they haven't?
Oh, no, like the skid blocks and stuff where they haven't quite got the detail they need.
Oh, my God. The pain.
Wow.
The pain. Hopefully they have. Anyway, it's a trial. We're learning, aren't we?
We are. And so it kind of takes us back to the first part where we're talking about that who is in for the top 10. Now, there is 87 points between P8, Cameron Hill, and P13, Nick Percat, if I've done my math, if I math correctly. So right now, there is, and some of those people, you look at like Cameron Hill, he's obviously been a race winner. And we've seen people having or starting to get some real momentum. Ryan Wood's been fast and getting himself up there, but not consistent enough. We've seen James Golding up there. We've seen Anton have a good round in Taupo. We're seeing these people starting to pick up a bit of pace. And so if you're a Chaz who just had a shocking round, or a Brody who seems to be outperforming really the car at the moment, you're at real risk if you start, falling to below the 10, you're not getting enough points. And some of those people are really, in that top 5, and they start taking some points away from you. So there is a lot to play for. And I guess, some of these people down here, Jack LeBrock and that, they're probably starting to get a little too far away. When you've got 300 points or so for a round, even if they pick up a race win at 100 something points, it's going to be a tough ask based on everyone else up here getting some points. So it's this mid pack where we've seen Randall kind of have some success, so he's looking like he's pushing up. Chaz has had a shocker. There's a lot of fluctuation that I think, given we've got 4 rounds, we're going to have to look at Perth and then probably Darwin before you can really start to see, okay, who's knocked themselves out, who's put themselves in or cemented their positions. Because then you've got Townsville and Ipswich, which will be an interesting one because certain people test at Ipswich, right?
Yeah.
So some of those people definitely have an advantage, right? So
100%.
Above a Chaz, because they're a Victorian team. You've got people that are, your Perkins and your Cameron Hill. I think that's their home track or home testing track. So that gives them a good opportunity to snag something a little better in that tail end.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's fascinating that supercars themselves aren't really discussing this. Like this should be the focal point really right now, not on the fact that Brock is leading. That's kind of half irrelevant right now because it's all about just getting into that top 10 and making it right for yourself. So get towards the end of that and then get the Enduro Cup organised, and at the end of the Enduro Cup, it's set.
It's set, correct. So I guess what we'll do, is we're going to try and figure out some of the finer details, whether or not we can find them, whether or not they've actually done them. It's probably worth somebody spiking or telling, like a Scott Pye at Apex Hunters, because he could probably figure shit out better than us, knowing people at Triple Eight. I'm sure they're all over it. But that's kind of the lay of the land for the 2025 championship and what it looks like from here on out. And as you say, we've only got 4 more rounds of the sprint, and that's going to come pretty fast before we hit the bend.
Well, you say pretty fast, but it's bloody August. The gaps at these, we talk about relevance and everything else, right? I want to say this just quickly. The wife and I sat down having a look at the potential possibility of going to America, right, at one point. And we're looking at, what we could possibly see. And when you look at like the NASCAR calendar, it's just every week. Like it's just week after week after week. It's always relevant. It's always something happening. Whereas I feel like it's been over a month already. I know it hasn't, but it feels like it's been forever. And the relevance of the category is gone.
Yeah, especially like you look at, obviously it's the start of June, so it's a few more weeks away. And then you've basically got a 2 or 3 week break until we hit Darwin. And then you think, like we just said, like that's when you're going to really start seeing who's in, who's out, and who's going to be in the cusp. And then we've got to wait not quite a month, but looks like 3 weeks. Probably 3 weeks there for Townsville. And then it's like almost a month before we hit Ipswich, in early August. And so
that's a month between those two. So between the Bend Enduro 500 and Ipswich, it's just over a month.
Look at these dates.
And a month to Bathurst, and then
what's after that?
Half a month, a couple of weeks to the Gold Coast.
So they have packed in a little bit more
towards the end.
Yeah, you can see there. Obviously, you've got Bathurst, which is early October, and then you've got end of October, halfway through November, and the end of November. So, there is the opportunity for it to pick up steam at the end during the finals. So
they really could. Like when you look at this setup that they have, the championship could have started late April. They had a much more bit of time off for all the race teams and stuff to get organized, and then just like gone a bit crazy. I know they're saving money by sending the cars to New Zealand on the slow boat, but I just it's just about relevance and staying relevant consistently, and I just feel like we don't do that very well.
Yeah, you're right. And look, and this has been the challenge, obviously, with financials. There's talk that the TV deal is going to be getting close to done, and the numbers look healthy, but not great, But I think you're right that maybe a little tweak on, even if it was in 2 halves, so you kind of have more racing in the first half, and then you give people 2 months off as a break. And then, pack the rest of the year in, something like that. So, you could actually be really relevant for a period of time, twice throughout the year, and try and pick those, the lull of, AFL and NRL kind of kick off, and then they kind of go there, and we can overlap and grab some of that media and attention through being relevant for weeks on end before taking a small break, perhaps during some of the bigger rounds that they have in the middle of the year, and then, close it out with some massive enduros and finals. So, definitely the work needs to be done. Work in progress.
Yeah. Oh, look, James Warburton coming in might help that, but knowing it a little bit more than possibly most that are in there at the moment. Let's hope that a few changes are made, because we want to see them racing more consistently, and the drivers want to be racing more consistently. That's why they're teeing up NASCAR drives and things like that, because they got time.
They've got time. They've got so much break between rounds that they can slot them in, right? So
that's it. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, I guess on that, the whole Warburton thing, everybody's favorite. He was the one that sold out. Couldn't get the money that they needed at the time, so they went to pay TV, and
they did, and everybody hasn't forgiven him.
No, it's been so many years, and there's almost, in the top 5 to 10 comments on any post about something not being on free to air, or it's like, I don't watch them anymore. I don't follow Supercars anymore since they're not on free to air. And it's like,
well, you're still here commenting, so clearly you're still following.
Yeah, you're still following. You still want to post and say it. And then two, clearly it is something that is working from a financial point of view, because the sport would be dead without it. And so, it is important for us to kind of kick in the money that's needed to run the sport, even if that is pay TV being the bulk of it. So,
absolutely.
Yes, good to see him back. I think he'll bring something that we need, which is a bit more of the entertainment side of it.
Definitely. So if you're listening, Warbo, we need 850 horsepower, Chevs to get into 2025 in terms of technology. We need a little bit more spice throughout the year. So whether that's compacting it a little bit more and giving more leeway on the other end, or giving a break in the middle, however you want to do it, get it done. We need a race probably at the Singapore Grand Prix. I think that's a good one. Get that done for us, mate. And the Supercars media team, come on. Let's get this shit rolling properly, and let's get that website banging, and a good list of, get a good list of everything that's actually happening, towards the back end of that top 10, and also how the freaking system works, because right now most are confused. A select few understand it, but most are just like, we'll just see how it goes, because it just sounds too hard.
Yeah. So start talking about it, start getting the information out, get ahead of the game, get excited, get people excited. That's all we need.
Let's do it. That's
You've got your list, Warbo. Make it happen.
Exactly right.
Beautiful.
Very good, mate.
Well, keep in touch with us on the socials. We'll be there doing, obviously, the F1 and then the upcoming rounds. We'll be doing previews and reviews as they happen. And we'll try and bang out a few more of these Supercar ones in the lead up. Try and keep some of the information relevant for us as well, so we don't forget it. And,
I know, right?
And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.
We do. Thanks for watching, guys, and ciao.
See ya.